Unplug from the fake news, the false reality. It's a propaganda arm of the deep state party. Think for yourself, research for yourself, trust yourself, and always find the truth. Do not be a pawn in their sick game any longer. Please pay attention. No matter what race, gender, or religion you are, no matter who you voted for, no matter if you hate Donald Trump, no matter if you hate the police or government in general, no matter if you love the news on CNN, MSNBC, etc., and hate all the other channels, no matter if you are young or old, no matter if you give a damn about politics, world peace, and all the human rights abuse and corruption. Very soon, terrible news will spread. It'll seem impossible to believe. Horrible, sickening, unbelievable things. It will shake your world and may turn everything you've ever believed in upside down. People you know will be accused of the most unbelievable, monstrous things. This could be people in Hollywood, politicians, journalists, pop stars, your favorite charities, religious leaders, institutions, heads of states, police officers, just etc., so on, so forth. You get the idea. We want you to know that good people have been fighting a silent battle behind the scene in order to save the world from these horrible, terrible horrors. It was a lonely war. It was a silent one. Chances are you did not even notice it, but you will soon. This is why I'm here warning you and why you must hear me out. We were all just a bunch of anons in the beginning of this from around the globe, and we didn't want money or fame. We just couldn't watch the world burn down and do absolutely nothing. That's why we're here, trying to warn you. We've been supporting our president, Donald J. Trump, and his efforts to drain the swamp. I don't care if you like our president or not. I just want you to know that he will protect you regardless. Horrible things happen that will come to light. Please don't be afraid. You will be safe. Bad actors will be brought to justice. Good people will prosper and live happy lives. Children and adults in slavery will be liberated. I'm Michael. This is a Patriot Hour. God bless, Godspeed to each and every one of you worldwide. Where we go one, we go all. There was once a time when our children stood at attention, put their hand on their heart, and in one united voice recited the Pledge of Allegiance. There was once a time when strength and honor meant something. There was once a time when standing for our flag meant something. There was once a time when our history, our heritage, was taught with pride and respect. There was a time when respect was given to those who served, bled, and died to protect and defend our God-given freedoms. There was a time when we were grateful. There was a time when these United States of America, one nation under God, was united. There was a time when these United States of America, one nation under God, was united under one flag. There was a time when we, the people, decided our future. There was a time when we, the people, had a voice. There was a time when we, the people, were united and strong. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. It is time we, the people, reclaim what is rightfully ours. May God bless America and all those who defend and protect her against all enemies, foreign and domestic. We stand together as patriots. Where we go one, we go all. Home of the brave and land of the free. This is the Patriot Hour. I'm Michael. God bless, Godspeed to each and every one of you worldwide. Remember, stand for the flag, kneel for the cross. right. Welcome, everybody. Lots of people in the room tonight. I'm glad to see that. All right. We're going to be, whenever Trump comes on, we're going to bring that right over. So even if I cut my own self off, the minute I see them fading in from that, all right, they're going to be going, the camera's going to click on inside, most likely. We got Ben in the studio as well. Yes. All right. Glad for those of you that don't have a way to watch this at all, I'm glad you're here. You're able to watch it this way, whatever. Welcome to all the mods. Give me a minute here. Yes, Ben will be on in a minute. Mike, how am I? I am doing all right. How's everybody? All right, I see Ben's joining. We're going to go ahead and just get Ben in here.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Super excited about what's about ready to drop here in mere minutes, brother. Minutes.
All right. Yes, folks. In the next few minutes, we'll see what Tapotis has to say. But, folks, we've been trying to teach everybody over the last year without coming out and saying too much because there are laws that have been set up.
Yes.
And go ahead, Ben.
Well, and this is not something that we've been actively doing, but just conscious of, for the fact that when we talk about certain things like martial law and what to expect and what to do this, we always base it off of either constitutional law or the current law we have at hand, i.e., or executive orders. So we always give our opinion on the facts at hand. Now, we never try to whip up fear and give this grand illusion of this, what could happen. Oh my gosh, it's coming to an end. We've never done that. We've always been logical and looked at the facts and the data at hand and tried to make a logical deduction of what is happening. And so when we talk about these laws of insurrection, rebellion,
you don't have to like them, folks. That's what's happened to this country, all right? So listen here. Listen up to Ben. Listen to what we're saying. There was a plan, and the people that have been promoting that, they're not probably wrong in what they've trickled onto. There was a plan for all this stuff, all right? We're not denying that. It's just they missed out on something that came in.
There was a very key element that had to take place for this whole entire evil plan, if we can call it that, to actually work, and that was that Hillary Crooked Clinton had to be.
Here we go.
My fellow Americans, tonight I am speaking to you because there is a growing humanitarian and security crisis at our southern border. Every day, Customs and Border Patrol agents encounter thousands of illegal immigrants trying to enter our country. We are out of space to hold them, and we have no way to promptly return them back home to their country. America proudly welcomes millions of lawful immigrants who enrich our society and contribute to our nation. But all Americans are hurt by uncontrolled illegal migration. It strains public resources and drives down jobs and wages. Among those hardest hit are African Americans and Hispanic Americans. Our southern border is a pipeline for vast quantities of illegal drugs, including meth, heroin, cocaine, and fentanyl. Every week, 300 of our citizens are killed by heroin alone, 90% of which floods across from our southern border. More Americans will die from drugs this year than were killed in the entire Vietnam War. In the last 2 years, ICE officers made 266,000 arrests of aliens with criminal records, including those charged or convicted of 100,000 assaults, 30,000 sex crimes, and 4,000 violent killings. Over the years, thousands of Americans have been brutally killed by those who illegally entered our country, and thousands more lives will be lost if we don't act right now. This is a humanitarian crisis, a crisis of the heart and a crisis of the soul. Last month, 20,000 migrant children were illegally brought into the United States, a dramatic increase. These children are used as human pawns by vicious coyotes and ruthless gangs. 1 in 3 women are sexually assaulted on the dangerous trek up through Mexico. Women or children are the biggest victims, by far, of our broken system. This is the tragic reality of illegal immigration on our southern border. This is the cycle of human suffering that I am determined to end. My administration has presented Congress with a detailed proposal to secure the border and stop the criminal gangs, drug smugglers, and human traffickers. It's a tremendous problem. Our proposal was developed by law enforcement professionals and border agents at the Department of Homeland Security. These are the resources they have requested to properly perform their mission and keep America safe, in fact, safer than ever before. The proposal from Homeland Security includes cutting-edge technology for detecting drugs, weapons, illegal contraband, and many other things. We have requested more agents, immigration judges, and bed space to process the sharp rise in unlawful migration fueled by our very strong economy. Our plan also contains an urgent request for humanitarian assistance and medical support. Furthermore, we have asked Congress to close border security loopholes so that illegal immigrant children can be safely and humanely returned back home. Finally, as part of an overall approach to border security, law enforcement professionals have requested $5.7 billion for a physical barrier. At the request of Democrats, it will be a steel barrier rather than a concrete wall. This barrier is absolutely critical to border security. It's also what our professionals at the border want and need. This is just common sense. The border wall would very quickly pay for itself. The cost of illegal drugs exceeds $500 billion a year, vastly more than the $5.7 billion we have requested from Congress. The wall will also be paid for indirectly by the great new trade deal we have made with Mexico. Senator Chuck Schumer, who you will be hearing from later tonight, has repeatedly supported a physical barrier in the past, along with many other Democrats. They changed their mind only after I was elected president. Democrats in Congress have refused to acknowledge the crisis, and they have refused to provide our brave border agents with the tools they desperately need to protect our families and our nation. The federal government remains shut down for one reason, and one reason only, because Democrats will not fund border security. My administration is doing everything in our power to help those impacted by the situation. But the only solution is for Democrats to pass a spending bill that defends our borders and reopens the government. This situation could be solved in a 45-minute meeting. I have invited congressional leadership to the White House tomorrow to get this done. Hopefully, we can rise above partisan politics in order to support national security. Some have suggested a barrier is immoral. Then why do wealthy politicians build walls, fences, and gates around their homes? They don't build walls because they hate the people on the outside, but because they love the people on the inside. The only thing that is immoral is the politicians to do nothing and continue to allow more innocent people to be so horribly victimized. America's heart broke the day after Christmas when a young police officer in California was savagely murdered in cold blood by an illegal alien who just came across the border. The life of an American hero was stolen by someone who had no right to be in our country. Day after day, precious lives are cut short by those who have violated our borders. In California, an Air Force veteran was raped, murdered, and beaten to death with a hammer by an illegal alien with a long criminal history. In Georgia, an illegal alien was recently charged with murder for killing, beheading, and dismembering his neighbor. In Maryland, MS-13 gang members who arrived in the United States as unaccompanied minors were arrested and charged last year after viciously stabbing and beating a 16-year-old girl. Over the last several years, I've met with dozens of families whose loved ones were stolen by illegal immigration. I've held the hands of the weeping mothers and embraced the grief-stricken fathers. So sad, so terrible. I will never forget the pain in their eyes, the tremble in their voices, and the sadness gripping their souls. How much more American blood must we shed before Congress does its job? To those who refuse to compromise in the name of border security, I would ask, imagine if it was your child, your husband, or your wife whose life was so cruelly shattered and totally broken. To every member of Congress, pass a bill that ends this crisis. To every citizen, call Congress and tell them to finally, after all of these decades, secure our border. This is a choice between right and wrong, justice and injustice. This is about whether we fulfill our sacred duty to the American citizens we serve. When I took the oath of office, I swore to protect our country, and that is what I will always do. So help me God. Thank you and good night.
Pretty crazy.
So what are we doing? A few more days of
Well,
giving the Democrats the
seems-
right thing to do, or what?
I think he's trying to throw a bone out there to him and say, "Hey, I'm doing this tomorrow." If you kind of, that looks like to me. I mean, he pressed all the right questions when it came to we have the crime happening. So he highlighted some crime that was related to the illegal immigration issue coming in. So I guess he did that issue.
Do you guys want to see the
drugs.
Democrats? It says starting in shortly, the Democrat leaders are now going to come up. So do you guys want to hear? We might as well hear the opposing. When they come up, I'll put it on. Put a 1 in the comment section if you want to hear the opposing people, because we don't want to block anything. I'm all about free speech. We got to hear it all. So
Yeah, I agree.
Probably no matter what, we'll put it up. But let's keep talking until I see anything happen over there. So tomorrow, what do you say about tomorrow?
Yep, one's across the board. So yeah,
All
we'll
right.
keep it rocking and rolling for you guys. Now,
Okay.
what he did say about tomorrow, I think he gave out he threw a bone to the Democrats and say he gave them almost like, it sounds like one last chance to come in tomorrow. Let's get this hemmed out. What did he say? He can get it done in 45 minutes. Remember, folks, this is not the whole entire fiscal plan here. This is a very, very, very small portion of the pretty much of what's going on when it comes to the finances, but we can't move forward until it's 100% done. And that's the difference. You can't walk away. We'll come back to that after it's all said and done.
So I saw some comments about the government employees, like a paycheck away from being homeless or something, I guess, at this point. I mean,
well, here's the thing is I personally have individuals in my life who do work for the government. And it's something that they told me, because I have these questions as well. It's like, well, wait a minute. And they said, this is something that's a possibility every year. So as a governmental employee, depending if you're not obviously mission essential, and you do get laid off or pay furloughed during these times, it's just something you prepare for, right? Like where we live at, I know about once a year it's going to snow and snow really hard. Well, if I don't prepare for the up and coming winter, I could get caught.
Or the people that are
cold
around the country that are maybe seasonal work, like you're saying, like people that
seasonal work, yeah. So if you use the excuse of, oh my gosh,
here we
before
go.
too
Here
long,
we go. Hold your thoughts.
Let's do it up.
Good evening. I appreciate the opportunity to speak directly to the American people tonight about how we can end this shutdown and meet the needs of the American people. Sadly, much of what we heard from President Trump throughout this senseless shutdown has been full of misinformation and even malice. The president has chosen fear. We want to start with the facts. The fact is, on the very first day of this Congress, House Democrats passed Senate Republican legislation to reopen government and fund smart, effective border security solutions. But the president is rejecting these bipartisan bills which would reopen government over his obsession with forcing American taxpayers to waste billions of dollars on an expensive and ineffective wall, a wall he always promised Mexico would pay for. The fact is, President Trump has chosen to hold hostage critical services for the health, safety, and well-being of the American people and withhold the paychecks of 800,000 innocent workers across the nation, many of them veterans. He promised to keep government shut down for months or years, no matter whom it hurts. That's just plain wrong. The fact is, we all agree we need to secure our borders while honoring our values. We can build the infrastructure and roads at our ports of entry. We can install new technology to scan cars and trucks for drugs coming into our nation. We can hire the personnel we need to facilitate trade and immigration at the border. We can fund more innovation to detect unauthorized crossings. The fact is, the women and children at the border are not a security threat. They are a humanitarian challenge, a challenge that President Trump's own cruel and counterproductive policies have only deepened. And the fact is, President Trump must stop holding the American people hostage, must stop manufacturing a crisis, and must reopen the government. Thank you. Leader Schumer?
Thank you, Speaker Pelosi. My fellow Americans, we address you tonight for one reason only. The President of the United States, having failed to get Mexico to pay for his ineffective, unnecessary border wall, and unable to convince the Congress or the American people to foot the bill, has shut down the government. American democracy doesn't work that way. We don't govern by temper tantrum. No president should pound the table and demand he gets his way, or else the government shuts down, hurting millions of Americans who are treated as leverage. Tonight, and throughout this debate and throughout his presidency, President Trump has appealed to fear, not facts, division, not unity. Make no mistake, Democrats and the president both want stronger border security. However, we sharply disagree with the president about the most effective way to do it. So, how do we untangle this mess? Well, there's an obvious solution. Separate the shutdown from arguments over border security. There is bipartisan legislation supported by Democrats and Republicans to reopen government while allowing debate over border security to continue. There is no excuse for hurting millions of Americans over a policy difference. Federal workers are about to miss a paycheck. Some families can't get a mortgage to buy a new home. Farmers and small businesses won't get loans they desperately need. Most presidents have used Oval Office addresses for noble purposes. This president just used the backdrop of the Oval Office to manufacture a crisis, stoke fear, and divert attention from the turmoil in his administration. My fellow Americans, there is no challenge so great that our nation cannot rise to meet it. We can reopen the government and continue to work through disagreements over policy. We can secure our border without an ineffective, expensive wall. And we can welcome legal immigrants and refugees without compromising safety and security. The symbol of America should be the Statue of Liberty, not a 30-foot wall. So our suggestion is a simple one. Mr. President, reopen the government and we can work to resolve our differences over border security, but end this shutdown now. Thank you.
They've had 35 effing years to do something.
I don't think she was even breathing, dude. Did you see her? She's like,
He was reading a teleprompter. I was watching his eyes.
oh, they were both. Oh my gosh,
Folks, that was a straight lie because they've been there. We just need to get back to what we've been doing, arguing about it while the government's open. They didn't care when half the frickin' country was laid off and not working. They changed numbers on how people file for unemployment to make it look better. That's how they made things look better.
It's sickening. It's really sickening how they're trying. It's very obvious what they're trying to do is they're using this point as a pivot point, just like our president is. And it's not sickening what he's doing for the fact that he's using this as a play to say, look, if this doesn't get fixed immediately, like you're in a battlefield. There's a guy bleeding out. Now, you can save that guy bleeding out, but you got to attend to that wound immediately. Our country is literally bleeding out on our southern border. We have wounds all over our southern border, and if we don't get those fixed immediately, there's going to be some crazy detriment that happens to our country. And these people are saying there's other ways to create secure borders without a wall. Tell me how. Yeah.
We can do some upgrades and the cars coming through and driving and scan them. Well, why didn't you do that before Trump was ever around? Well, folks, it's bullcrap. Again, they're not talking about the human trafficking. The 800,000 kids in the U.S. alone every year go missing, folks. Out of the 800,000, 600,000, I think, get found, put back with parents, or the remains, as sad as it is, all right? What doesn't get found is about 200,000 kids. They vanish. We don't find bones, dental record, nothing. It's like they vanish off the face of the earth. They're getting siphoned out of the country. And if it's through the actual border checking spots, I would be amazed. Maybe
there's only
possibly
2 ways or 3 ways you can get out of the border. That's walking, going through a ship, or flying over it. So you have 3 ways, and it's telltale sign. We saw both sides of what our president was basically using. Now, again, folks, this is the art of the deal. This is called leverage. Using leverage to get what we want is classic business negotiation. We know that what's not going to happen is the government's going to start back up, and we're just going to start, let's talk about these while the government's functioning. When they're using inflated terms like people can't get homes and people are going to be out of jobs and go homeless.
We're like 2 weeks.
Who are these people talking about? It's like as if these people, these governmental workers are this bad off that within 2 weeks they're going to be losing their homes, then I suggest that they have individual accountability for your own financial security and don't depend. And if 2 weeks is going to kill you and your family financially, you better recheck how you do your
They
monies.
don't care because the two they're talking are getting paid. they've put in all the
Yes.
safeguards for themselves
Yes.
over the years. If they cared about the 800,000, the safeguards would have been put in. Now, during a shutdown, they talk about things like, oh, we should make sure they maybe get paid in the future or however they want to. Again, it's never been an issue to them. And how do they get paid during a shutdown? It must be an issue to them, personally, and they've taken care of
that
it.
that gets all hemmed out at the 80% in October, November time frame before any of this comes out. All that's all put into play, and with some other major things. And this is why I think folks, when was the last time that we had a presidential address addressing the nation? And then right after that, you had the Democrats going, "By this, we want to have our two say." You're going to
Got to take a time out here while we got. I have to say this. Sorry, and Ben will agree with me. All right. Fluid Cooled by Greg, right? Fluid Pour by Greg.
Fluid Pour Art by Greg.
I'd like to wish Lisa Dash and Greg a happy 21st wedding anniversary coming up on January
sweet.
9th, tomorrow.
That's
So that's
tomorrow.
Everybody, if you can, total side subject, sorry, but I just would like to say that he had emailed.
That's a huge.
I will get a hold of you,
yes.
brother. It's the first email I saw, and I'm glad I saw it, but congrats. Happy anniversary.
Yes, that is huge, you guys.
Lisa Dash.
Super awesome.
Greg, congrats. All right. So, all right, took care of that. So again, folks, Geisy, a lot of the same talk we've heard for 50 years. We'll take care of it. Trump's creating such a big storm over this. They've never wanted to do anything about it. See how they didn't talk about fences or locks on anyone's doors, by the way? The Democrats didn't address that issue.
Yeah. How many times have we told you guys, and you've all agreed with us in multitudes, why do you have a fence around your house? Why do you have a lock on your door? Do you see this is logic? Why do I have a fence around my house? Because I would agree with our president. Because I care more about those inside the fence than I do outside the fence. Let's just be
it's
real
not
here.
that you hate all the people outside,
No,
but
no,
like
of
he said
course
it.
not.
So think about that. What about the amount of the annual budget that we just got passed, all of our taxpayers' dollars for the year, and this $5 billion is like, what do we talk about? Hundredths of a percent or 10.
You guys, yeah, our budget's in the trillions. Now, it's hard if you don't, like a mathematician will understand this, engineers will understand this, IT cats can understand large numbers. But the common person doesn't understand what $1 trillion actually is consisted of. How many billions are in trillions? And if they have trillions, then $5.7 billion is so minuscule. It's like literally 0.0010 something of a percentage of the overall 88 trillion or however many our budget is.
So to put it in terms of like, if you make 60 grand a year in your own budget, it would be like $7 to $8.
You gotta pay for the wall.
For the wall out of your 80-year salary, maybe say me 80 grand a year, it would be like $8, dude, people. And that's your front door. That's your lock. It's like, I need a new lock on my front door. Out of my yearly salary, I'm going to put $5 towards it. $8, $9 with tax.
If you understand what the left side of the Democrats, or let's just be honest, with those dealing with evil, they're fighting over something so entirely small, but yet they're hinging their whole entire strategy on something so entirely small. Think about that, because they know everything that the president just said is 100% correct. And if we had a steel girder, a barrier, a wall that you could not cross, that would stop like 80 to 90% of the evil crime that's coming across immediately, which is almost like these evil people's lifeblood, is they need that to be open.
For that amount of money, You know, I know it's not going to stop it 100% different things. And the people that are flying, the people that are getting through the actual checkpoints through cars hidden somehow and they don't get picked up. But if it stops a percentage, even if it's 20 or 30, I don't know what, it doesn't matter. Just one
If it
would
helps
be worth it.
one person, yes, I would
If
agree.
it saves one
It's-
life or anything. So, again, while we have a lot of people in the room here, we are setting records tonight on the Patriot Tech. Please subscribe.
Yes.
Next video's coming out. You'll get the alert. That way you can be kept in the loop of what's going on.
Yeah,
here.
no, we're this channel. This is where we throw a lot of the Patriot Hours live sessions coming out to you guys. We try to get as much. Obviously, you just seen it, presidential coverage when he was doing a lot of his rally speeches before midterms. We were kind of hooking on that. So tonight was just a classic example, and yet another reason when you hear. It can't get more clear than that, folks. You literally heard truth and lies right back to back. And they're both were very eloquent speakers, but you can see one side was about truth and about safety and about the American people, and the other side was about let's get them back to work and we can do this, but let's just get the government going.
It was the
They
same
didn't
old talk.
address it's same old talk, exactly. So if you just saw literally a paradox of two belief systems, globalists, nationalists.
Well, and what are they fighting for? Just like you said, to go back to business as usual, folks. Same old jargon. Well, you guys couldn't work it out before the shutdown. Well, we'll try afterwards. Nobody agrees with Trump. Why don't you rise to the highest level of the country, Schumer, get voted in, and then you'd have ideas, and nobody think about that. It's like he wants to be president. They want to be president. The media follows this side, so we know they're not right. We know the media is a tool. If you're lining up with the mainstream, you're fucking wrong.
Yeah,
That's my own little
exactly. I
cutout.
mean, it's you gotta love it for the fact that if you're trying to argue on something you're parroting and you don't honestly know the foundation of what you're talking about, then it's people call it imbecile or you're ignorant, and that only makes you a fool. And Mike and I are very, very careful that if we're wrong about something, let's research the truth. And I would agree, yes, both sides were reading from teleprompters. They were giving a speech. When you address the nation, you don't want to kind of go off the cuff and shoot from the hip like you do in the midterms, because this is pretty important. You want to be very eloquent and be very precise, because the whole entire nation is hearing you like your personal, the reasonings why you're doing this.
Yes.
And we also had the other side reading from a teleprompter. This isn't just off the cup. This game is real, and these people are literally trying to deceive you the only way they know how, and that's with lies.
Well, and if we get into the 16-year plan, folks, all right, and we've gone over this probably 8 months ago, and I probably brought it up in a lot of current meme videos, but it just flashes on the screen. But the 16-year plan was the 8 years with Obama, and then we get into a supposed 8 years with Hillary. And
Yes.
folks, that whole Uranium One deal, of course they did it on purpose. The Trump administration is exposing that. WikiLeaks has exposed some of this. They were to use that right around now, 2 years into Hillary's, first 4 years. They were gonna come out and act like they found this out, like, Russia got some of our uranium. They used this company to guise us. That was your whole plan from the get-go. They were going to use it, and then the media would play that story, and then that would create this Russia U.S. war to drain the last two really countries that have a little bit of something going on, I guess. So now, and with all the cutbacks from Obama into Hillary, she was going to be doing cutbacks too. So these last 2 years weren't supposed to be numbers flipping around. They were supposed to go lower. And at the same time,
And
they were all going lower. Our military was going to be defunded. This perpetuated fake war of things they set up on purpose way back then to use here. But you got this guy coming in between and exposing it, and now they're on the defense. Nothing makes sense. They're in a scramble. You heard them not address why these people like themselves have fences around their house. They don't address that. Well, keep people out. You know, they don't want to say these same things that doesn't fit their narrative. It's a scramble.
It's very interesting because this 16-year supposed plan they had, it was all hinged, like we said, about Crooked Hillary becoming the president. And another thing that you would think their plan
2019, 2020 martial law, something.
Well, think about that. Their plan had been and always has been, even I think before this 16-year plan, but this 16-year plan was kind of like, okay, the
dialing
done.
in of the last 16 years.
Let's put it into action. Was really about abolishing the Constitution of the United States of America.
Getting rid of our sovereignty. Tearing down that.
Because once we have our sovereignty, and here's the thing, people, we know that they're trying to deceive us to freely give them our freedom for our supposed protection. And so when Trump came in, Mike and I always said this has got to be a monkey wrench in the system, because what he's saying and what's happening, these things are coming to light. And I think people who've been sleeping for a long time are going to finally realize that we've been lied to, and we're going to be pissed, and we're going to want to know more truth, and we're not going to let these people get away with it anymore. And I think that
this is all
what's happening.
Somebody had said, how do we make sure this never happens again? That's phase 2, folks. We're trying to make sure it's all not taken care of now, exposed. People are tried for treason. And then the whole second part of this is to make sure it never happens again. Keep a close eye on, have channels like the Patriot Hour and everyone else that can deliver news.
Mike
truth.
And I have said,
keep an eye.
Yeah, a couple of times. Keep an eye out. And even some of the hypotheses that we've put forth here on the Patriot Hour of like what's going to happen after all the treason trials, military tribunals, when we get back to somewhat normal. We've made some hypotheses. There could be maybe DC becomes a municipality and the states get their power back and we control the states as the people. That was a time. And you got to remember, this has only been this crazy for the last 80 or so years. 50 to 80 years ago, people knew their rights and would not allow their governors and senators and people like this to even dare trample on our rights of any way. I mean, we're talking, and now we've gotten to a point of people are going to freely give away all their freedoms because of security. It's the illusion of it. And that's being broken, and that could be a very dangerous thing to these elites, because what has Q told us multiple times? The biggest thing they fear is us waking up and knowing what the hell is going on. Yeah.
That knocks out half their punch, folks. It's knowing and them not being able to lie to you anymore about what's going on. That's so huge. So what do we, you were saying something and it made me think. I can't remember what that. So the border, we talk about martial law was supposed to maybe come in 2019, 2020.
Now, of course, when we talk about martial law, remember, folks, martial law is a very large body of, I wouldn't say a body of law, but it's a very large umbrella thing. It could be enacted in many different ways. It could look many different ways. So when we say martial law, we try to let you guys know what type of martial law. We've talked about there may be some martial law declared in some counties along the southern border.
The one for the end game probably was going to be a nationwide almost, or if not declared over, and I don't know if you'd physically see ramp up in every little facet of the country.
Well, they would outlaw guns. They'd abolish the Second Amendment. Boom, right there. All of a sudden, you now become a felony.
And this would probably been a foreign one, because our own military would have been stripped so low and people discharged, and they're going to let a lot of people out. Oh, we don't need so many people. It's all electronical now.
They're going to diminish the ranks.
Yeah, it would have been diminished down to zilch. So all that's that's another story, and some people have followed that to a T and found it out. Of course, no doubt. But there's this story going on here. So tomorrow, what did Trump say about tomorrow again? He said he's meeting tomorrow.
He's inviting the Democrats,
Pelosi,
the head people, all those people. He's inviting them to an open meeting or a meeting tomorrow to get this knocked out. He said it can be done within 45 minutes. So I think when he says that lets you know that they all know what needs to happen. They just don't want to. So I think tomorrow's going to be interesting. What time that they're going to get together?
No, he didn't say anything in that little speech to everyone about national emergency. He just said that it was a crisis going on down there. It was really bad.
He says there's a crisis. Yeah, he didn't use any type of the word.
In other speeches like a day ago, he said, I can do that. It's a national security. I put a video up of it, but
yes,
he didn't use those words today. But he did say it's bad, folks,
crisis.
And if we're not open, and there is no opening the government without getting this done. So
yes, that's pretty clear. He was very clear on the fact that he is not opening the government due to our security issues. It's a security issue. It's not so much like, oh, they're hungry, they're this. The folks, it's a security issue, and as a military man, that just like that, my radar goes off crazy. You need security.
Well, and I think like Woodman, our fellow brethren, airborne Woodman, if you're watching, he has said, and I haven't looked this up, but I don't know what it takes when you have 3 grown men jumping the border. Even if I don't know if they're armed or what you have to consider it, but what does it take to be considered invaded? I mean. Of course, we all have our own thoughts on that, but there's probably a technical lingo somewhere deep into the rules of what that,
I would say, well, what do we know what trespassing is? I know that if somebody steps 1 foot physically
under my property. It doesn't take 5 people either, does it?
I think if I can go at a larger scale, we have the same no trespassing signs on our border wall, and if one person crosses illegally, well, he's an illegal immigrant. Well, he's not immigrating. He's just illegally in our country. That's not, where is he immigrating? That's that whole idea.
Remember, we looked into all this probably 4 or 5 years ago. Folks, there is migrant people. There are immigration.
Migrant workers.
Migrant workers. There's a whole slew
visas.
of people.
I mean, a lot of people who live in Tijuana. Yes, visas. There's a lot of people who live in Tijuana but work in San Diego. When I was out in Arizona, I was dating a girl who was on a student visa. And so there's multiple visas that you can come into our country and study and do this kind of stuff and even work. When you say migrant worker, you're just describing what times a person works and he doesn't work in one, or she doesn't work in one area. So they use illegal immigration or illegal aliens. It's more word porn is what it basically boils down to. We got to have security, and we got to have security in our borders, and we've been saying that for a long time. And the bottom line is a wall, a structure is going to do that. No wall, no structure, and a person with a border patrol agent is not going to stop people. That's bottom line.
So let's just take this real quick to the people here while you guys are listening. Think about it. The Democrats have pushed for legislation of, like Chicago went no guns. They literally
gun-free zone.
And people that didn't want that could say that ain't going to work. Just like they like to say for the wall. And it's like, believe us anyway. And people did. And they made Chicago a whole gun-free area. And it didn't stop nothing because only the law-abiding turned in. People that don't do so. The criminals didn't, and law enforcement had theirs. The killings still happened. So then they start telling you, well, it's the neighboring places. We need to get them there too. And then that would just expand coast to coast. But yet the criminals and law enforcement would still have theirs the whole time. So then we talk about a border wall that doesn't, and they're, that won't work. But you look to other countries where they have it. You look to, like, they're not even willing, like, that's how bad, for some reason, we got to follow fairy tales down with them on ideas. But a border wall just won't work, they claim. And everything you've been doing for 30 years hasn't worked, these people up there. So the wall won't work. What we do won't work. But we'll do something. Just open the government back up, and we'll talk about it. I mean, it just seems ridiculous.
Oh my gosh, it's insanity. Well, exactly. And you think about how come these people years ago were talking about the wall, we needed border security, and now all of a sudden they've turned. You got to see, when you see a puppet dancing before you, know that behind the screen is a man who controls them. And even though, yes, they're both reading from teleprompters, one has a more of a Pinocchio feel than the other, if you catch my drift.
Yeah. And I mean, at this point, even if you write your own thing, we shoot a lot from the hip. I've actually never, ever had a script or anything for the Patriot Hour, but it's like when I read an article, it could be a better show. It flows. I'm reading something and it's an article, and so we get it. It's just unbelievable. So if they come back on TV tomorrow, of course we'll air it, folks. That's what we're here for. I'm hoping that you guys picked up something, and I don't know. What can you say? Words of encouragement, Ben, for everybody?
I think a lot of us were really on the edge of our seat to say, or to see what our president was going to talk about, how he was going to address the nation, and what points he was going to make in addressing our nation. I would just say we're still fighting, folks. The government's still shut down. You can see that he's giving his olive branch of let's take it to the meeting tomorrow. He's giving them olive branch. If they show up, then I'll give them, hey, good on them. They showed up. Let's talk some business. If they don't, that also shows their moral character about not trying to get things done, saying one thing and doing another. Remember, folks, one of the things that Mike and I and the Patriot Hour and this whole team here have all been burnt on in the past, just like you guys, is politicians saying one thing and doing another, raising taxes behind your back and then telling you that taxes are being lowered in front of you. This type of deception will not last, because lies can never, ever outshine the light of truth. And so I just said this is a huge thing, and I'm ready to see what happens tomorrow. And of course, we're still wanting arrest. We still want justice, but this is how it has to happen. I'm trusting, so that we don't have national chaos and breakdown of people not believing that these people are truly evil, and maybe abolishing the Democratic Party.
Hey,
Just saying.
I think that's probably happen on its own behalf. Folks, I would say Ben summed it up pretty good there, but we've all begged for, and anybody that's here in the truth movement that's been studying, coming along before Trump, before this administration, and you've come to your conclusions, and then and even other people, they have begged, they've known that the government's maybe not on the up and up, certain things aren't so right, and we've begged for, we just need somebody that's of the people. Now, do we have that right now with Trump? The words I've heard, the words like, you just have never heard this before with anyone else. Like, we need to take power away from here and give it back to you, the people. That's going directly, walls. The New World Order is about one world, no walls, so this is exact opposite. Putting something up to keep others out. That's not a one world system. So you got to think logically, and I'm not a die-hard Trump supporter. I am a die-hard constitutionalist. So when I hear things that line up with that, when I hear things that take it back to us, sovereignty, keeping our country, I'm pretty sure I'm hearing the right thing, all right? Patriotism, nationalism versus globalism. I mean, when Trump said things like that, and he's a nationalist, and then the media starts trying to tell you what nationalist really means today, compared to what they are promoting, which is globalism. So these same people that want a better system here, a better country, they don't know that they're half foot in and begging for this global stuff because they're brainwashed, and they're like, we just need to get rid of Trump and get back what we had. These people that speak well, and the faces that I've seen, I feel comfortable with these faces that I've seen. And when I turn the TV on, I see daytime soap operas, and those people have been there forever. They belong there. The politicians belong here. Trump has no business being there. Well, that's like saying nobody but that party, the system belongs there. We'll never get anything fixed. So careful what you wish for and what you cater in. We're already there. That's we've been catering in garbage for years.
Yes.
So
yeah, that's I would agree with that 100%, man. 100%. This is pretty crazy. I mean, with all you guys out there, with everybody watching right now, and definitely this is a unique time. This is a unique time in history, and there was a few times that it came this close. We could say it was in JFK's time. We could say it was in Abraham Lincoln's time. It came very, very close, but we are still on the precipice, and it can go. It's like we're teetering. A lot of good thing has happened. Good stuff has happened, but I think if we don't keep on pressing on, keep on keeping pressure where the pressure needs to be kept on in our governmental areas and our senators and our congressmen, that we could easily slip back to the old ways and the old guards, and it could be just another tragedy like JFK and Abraham Lincoln, and say, well, we tried, it was a good man, but they're just too powerful.
yeah, and when the president speaks from the Oval Office, they don't do that all the time. That's a very powerful position, folks, and he wasn't so much talking to foreign countries. He was talking to the other side of the aisle,
us. Yeah,
American people. So, all right, I'm going to leave you with the same video we started out with. So we hope you're subscribed. The room is trickled down about half of what it was, but we're going to go ahead and end this here. We're at 1 hour and 20. Thank you guys for joining us. God bless.
Awesome.
Godspeed.
Yes.
We'll salute you on our way out, and we'll see you on the next video. God
awesome.
bless.
Thank all you patriots, and God bless everybody.
God bless all of you. Yes. Have a great night. Unplug from the fake news, the false reality. It's a propaganda arm of the deep state party. Think for yourself, research for yourself, trust yourself, and always find the truth. Do not be a pawn in their sick game any longer. Please pay attention. No matter what race, gender, or religion you are, no matter who you voted for, no matter if you hate Donald Trump, no matter if you hate the police or government in general, no matter if you love the news on CNN, MSNBC, etc., and hate all the other channels, no matter if you are young or old, no matter if you give a damn about politics, world peace, and all the human rights abuse and corruption. Very soon, terrible news will spread. It'll seem impossible to believe. Horrible, sickening, unbelievable things. It will shake your world and may turn everything you've ever believed in upside down. People you know will be accused of the most unbelievable, monstrous things. This could be people in Hollywood, politicians, journalists, pop stars, your favorite charities, religious leaders, institutions, heads of states, police officers, just etc., so on, so forth. You get the idea. We want you to know that good people have been fighting a silent battle behind the scene in order to save the world from these horrible, terrible horrors. It was a lonely war. It was a silent one. Chances are you did not even notice it, but you will soon. This is why I'm here warning you, and why you must hear me out. We were all just a bunch of anons in the beginning of this from around the globe, and we didn't want money or fame. We just couldn't watch the world burn down and do absolutely nothing. That's why we're here, trying to warn you. We've been supporting our president, Donald J. Trump, and his efforts to drain the swamp. I don't care if you like our president or not. I just want you to know that he will protect you regardless. Horrible things happen that will come to light. Please don't be afraid. You will be safe. Bad actors will be brought to justice. Good people will prosper and live happy lives. Children and adults in slavery will be liberated. I'm Michael. This is a Patriot Hour. God bless, Godspeed to each and every one of you worldwide. Where we go one, we go all. There was once a time when our children stood at attention, put their hand on their heart, and in one united voice recited the Pledge of Allegiance. There was once a time when strength and honor meant something. There was once a time when standing for our flag meant something. There was once a time when our history, our heritage, was taught with pride and respect. There was a time when respect was given to those who served, bled, and died to protect and defend our God-given freedoms. There was a time when we were grateful. There was a time when these United States of America, one nation under God, was united. There was a time when these United States of America, one nation under God, was united under one flag. There was a time when we, the people, decided our future. There was a time when we, the people, had a voice. There was a time when we, the people, were united and strong. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. It is time we the people reclaim what is rightfully ours. May God bless America and all those who defend and protect her against all enemies, foreign and domestic. We stand together as patriots. Where we go one, we go all. Home of the brave and land of the free. This is a Patriot Hour. I'm Michael. God bless. Godspeed to each and every one of you worldwide. Remember, stand for the flag, kneel for the cross.